Hello and welcome to episode 63 of the MisanthroPod. I'm Snipe, and as always, I'm joined by Wib. Say hello.
Hello.
And I'm also joined by the lovely, the Frenchy, the Englishy drummer bud. Say hello.
Hello.
I thought I'd mix things up.
Yeah, I do. I have realised that I've come to mouth along with your intro, which is kind of weird. I pretend to say it along when you say it.
Oh God. I'm infecting you.
It's good. People don't like change, so.
No, people don't like change. It's fine. And plus, I've settled into this rut now, and I'm going to die in it. And I'm going to take as many people as I can with me.
Moving on, how are you, Snipe?
I'm all right, thank you very much. How are you, lovely gentlemen, today?
I'm okay. How are you, Matt?
I'm well, thank you.
Good.
Okay, we can stop you from being evil there.
Okay.
It's October.
It is October.
The best month of the year.
October.
Oh, yeah, that's another reason it's the best month of the year. Also, Inktober. And it's also the spoopy month.
Yeah, basically the best month.
This is the best fucking month. Also, Christmas can suck every square inch of my dick.
You are known for having a particularly square dick, so
very
lots
square.
of squared.
I have a lot of very severe 90-degree angles.
It leads to a lot of surface area.
A lot. I have a surprising surface area of wiener. And Christmas can suck every square inch of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to know my favourite thing about October so far?
Yes.
It's because, I mean, I may have mentioned this before, but spoopy and Halloween isn't really my thing. Whatever.
I mean, if
I appreciate you two like it, and that's fine. But I don't know. Halloween always seems. This is going to come out entirely wrong, and I'm going to get abuse for it. But far too American. And I don't. I appreciate before I say that, but traditionally, the Brits have just never really done it. It's just, Bonfire Night was a bigger thing, and it's a bit weird that it's now Halloween. I guess it's.
I don't like Bonfire Night because people hit me with fireworks.
Well, you just burn things. It's great.
Yeah, me. Halloween's great. You burn witches and stuff.
But my favourite part of October, apart from it being my birthday.
The entirety of October is your birthday.
Yes, that's how old I am. Everything's longer now. No, my point was, because everyone thinks it's spoopy and scoop-boopy and stuff, people change their Twitter names. Have you seen Mike Merles, the writer of the 5th edition D&D, or the head writer of 5th edition D&D?
No.
His Twitter name is Mike Merles, but spooky. And it is my favourite, and I really wish I'd thought of that myself because it puts across my amazing indifference for the whole spooky October thing.
Oh, well, I mean, again, you're welcome to be wrong if you want, but I mean, I think I've seen some beautiful Twitter names. I mean, the best is Snipe, which is me. It's like me, but a werewolf, and that's scary.
I am Wib Skeletons Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you were Johnson for a while before.
Yes, Wib Chainsaw Johnson.
Oh, yes.
Apparently, the pseudonym of Wib has gained a surname now. It's Johnson.
Good.
Apparently.
Good.
Unfortunately, the but spooky thing, that's been around for a while.
I love it.
I've seen quite a few people with that over the last few years.
Yeah,
it's just a beautiful level of indifference.
I think Oculus Imperia, because he was asking for a Halloween name, and so I recommended something. His one is now something
like... It was Oculus Imperia... but now he's a ghost.
Because he asked for one, and I was like, "Hey, how about this?" And it was the worst.
I like Long Fangs because you helped Long Fang. It was like the Fang from 20,000 Fathoms, which is so awesomely over the top. I love it.
This is apparently what I'm doing this Halloween: is naming everyone else's Twitter accounts.
Oh, yep. Good. You have to come up with a sufficiently indifferent one for me.
Okay, how about Drummer Butt, but it's Halloween, so I feel obligated to change my name to something
just
spooky.
Obligatory Halloween name.
That's quite good, actually.
Yeah, see, there we go.
I like Drummer Spoop.
It's not really a pun, though. That's just the word spoop injected awkwardly into something.
And no one likes spoop injected awkwardly into anything.
Okay, don't you dare generalize. How fucking dare you?
Anyway, let's get off that. That's somewhat torturous train of thought.
But yeah, October.
Yes, it is October.
It's October, and we know basically nothing. And like, it's only that we're recording this on the 4th. Peek behind the scene there, and already on like the 2nd of October, people were getting very mad because literally.
Oh, you think they waited till the 2nd of October to get mad?
I'm giving everyone the benefit of the doubt. But
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is like 10 past midnight on the 1st of October, where the fuck is literally every piece of information to do with it? Fucking sick of Games Workshop. Consider me cancelled. I'm not a fan anymore. There.
I mean, I'd say you're exaggerating, but I have basically seen people say that, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're not aware somehow, there is... the month of October is October to Games Workshop. Whilst the new codex comes out for Orcs, as well as a handful of new things for their model line, and they're being slowly going to be drip fed through the month. The only thing we've really seen so far is they've shown off slightly clearer images of some of the new war buggies, which look great, as well as a video for the Megatrack Scrapjet.
That video was pretty good.
Where they did it like it was a faux inspirational commercial using nothing but stock video.
It's like, those really cringy car commercials where it's like, you don't want to just get to where you're going. You want to enjoy the journey. And like, that kind of really faux, like, deep philosophical garbage. And it's like, buy a car because... fuck you and everyone else. Just give us 20 grand for a car because we're pretending it's spiritual and somehow good for the soul.
Buy your Toyota Yaris, it's the only way you'll get to heaven.
Yeah, really. And they basically just went, fuck that. We'll do something as stupid as that, but for the Megatrack Scrapjet. And I was like, yeah, no.
I do appreciate GW's approach to doing their marketing these days, where, I mean, it's... At the end of the day, it's no more or less cynical than the regular adverts, but, at least you have a bit of a laugh, and at least it's poking fun at all other adverts at the same time, so,
Yeah, so a little bit of meta is a bit refreshing every now and again. But yeah, that's pretty fun.
But yeah, that looks interesting. Of course, I'll be picking up the codex as soon as it comes out, because...
whenever we figure out when it comes out, because... fuck knows, because they don't even tell people who work at GW anymore because they're so scared of leaks.
But yeah, so that should be interesting to see what goes on. They have said that it's there's going to be rules for the different clans, so that should be interesting because they've not had like more distinct rules for a little while. So that should be interesting, and of course, once again, screws over anyone like me who has multiple clans in their army, because that's just how you could run them, and indeed if you have an army from 2nd edition, how you had to run them.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, that's fun. On a related Games Workshop note, we also got our second delivery of Warhammer 40k Conquest.
By delivery, you mean I got a box of 4 issues.
Yeah, this is apparently how they're doing it.
Yeah, so they're sending them out in batches, basically.
Yeah, rather than sending you 1 a week, they send you 4 a month in one big box, which is an interesting way of doing it.
I mean, that's fine. It's fun to get parcels.
I mean, better environmentally, less delivery.
Yeah,
trucks
exactly.
around, so, yeah, I'm keen.
I don't mind waiting like a few weeks just to get everything at once. Like you say, it's good for the environment and it's fun to get boxes.
The interesting thing is that we got the first exclusive miniature, possibly only exclusive miniature. I don't know. I haven't looked that closely. Which is, what's his name?
Celsius.
It's not Celsius. It's Calcius, I believe.
Celsius.
It's Calcius, I think his name is, who is a Ultramarines lieutenant.
Okay. And God, is he ultramarine-y?
He's got like...
is he beige?
No, but he is covered in so many fucking, like, U's and, like, what's the little, like, one of those little, like, flower things that they put in their hair. Basically,
a wreath.
Yeah, basically boy flower crowns.
Kinda.
They're like hyper masculine flower crowns because men can't like flowers because apparently that's bad.
Yeah. But yeah, he's a pretty cool model. But yeah, he is covered in ultramarine symbols. I think there's like 10 on him.
He's like, God, I'm the ultramarine. No one's a bigger ultramarine than me. I can't even say ultramarine properly. That's how ultramarine I am.
Not sure even you know what you meant by that.
Actual quote from Captain Celsius there.
His name is not Celsius.
It's literally his name.
Everyone has been misspelling it as Celsius.
I know, it's so funny.
But it's Calcius.
Because it's October and calcium is in the air.
Or possibly Celsius. I don't know.
God, fucking no.
Anyway.
Let's just call him Colgate and be done with it.
Yeah, so we've got these next 4 issues. So we've got the first 2 things that weren't advertised as like the original 4 things. Is this new lieutenant and another like set of 3 Death Guard. But really interestingly, we have seen the next 2 issues. So one of them comes with no models at all, but comes with Null Noil and what's the brown one? I forget the name of the.
Oh fuck.
The Agrax Earth.
Agrax Earthshade.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
So basically, brown and black wash, which is so useful.
And it's like they're worth like 11 quid together because they're big bottles.
Yeah.
So it's like actually that works out quite well.
Yeah.
But it's just there's no models. But it's the not getting any models thing is sort of made up by the next issue, which will be issue 8, comes with the Primaris Librarian. The one that's like 20 odd quid.
Yep. I don't, but I wanted the chaplain.
You'd have to fight me for the chaplain.
I would fight you to the death for the chaplain. He's amazing.
I'd literally be making a Space Marine army whose shtick is they have a lot of chaplains.
Yeah, well, I would put a couple of wolf tails on him and run him as a wolf priest. All those wolf priests that I use.
You do use a lot of wolf priests.
Oh, God, oh.
Famous for it.
Wolf priest Snipe. That's what they call me, and I'll put kid ears on him. Wolf ears.
Kitty wolf ears.
Kitty wolf ears.
You'll be like Cat Dog.
No, he won't. He will not be like Cat Dog.
It'll be 2 Marines. It'll be a Space Wolf.
Glued ass to ass.
And an Astral Claw glued ass to ass.
An Astral Claw.
Yes, an Astral Claw.
Oh no, I'll get another one and then glue them butt to butt.
It'll be Dog Dog.
It'll be Dog. Wolf.
Does anyone remember Cat Dog at all?
I remember of it.
It was a weird Nickelodeon show where
there was a cat and a dog that were joined at the butt.
Well, they weren't joined at the butt. They were just one entity at like each end. They were like the Push Me Pull Me from Dr. Dolittle.
Someone had got a cat and someone had got a dog and like chopped them in half at the waist.
And then glued them together, and then they lived.
And then you don't even need to glue them. You can use the blood, and as the blood's drying, it kind of sticks them together.
I don't believe you've ever been to medical school. You use super glue for that kind of procedure, dude. You know that. Come on.
And it was insinuated they were a natural entity within the show.
Yeah.
It was insinuated that they were a natural entity during the show.
Well, I mean, they weren't 2 animals that were sawn in half and then affixed together.
That's what'll happen on the gritty adult reboot of it, which is coming next year on Netflix, probably.
Which is called like...
You mean like the Sabrina Teenage Witch?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like a gritty reboot.
Yeah.
It's going to be called like... Feline or something fucking stupid like that.
What?
Feline, canine feline.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's gonna be like super gritty, and it's gonna be like,
the cat will be like fuck Batman.
Yeah, the cat will be like fuck Batman, and the dog will be like he will sit there for hours and hours, like lining up knives in a circle, and then lie in the middle of it and go.
I like how Cat Dog, the gritty reboot, seems to exist in the DC cinematic universe.
Because only the most cringiest, trying to be super edgy bullshit exists within the DC universe.
I mean, it makes sense though because the cat dog's mum is also called Martha, so it makes complete sense.
Yeah, and Cat Dog's dad is called Father.
Do you remember before this podcast started and I said, can we make this one, a little bit more short than the last few, so can we not tangent as much?
Yeah, okay.
Hey, you said as much. We're getting our tangenting out the way early.
Okay, let's move on to what we've been doing then.
Wow.
So, Matthew.
Don't call him Matthew. It makes him feel like he's in trouble for coming up with the gritty DC reboot of Cat Dog.
I was just, it's just official.
Yeah, and it's officially scary for the poor boy.
Okay then, Percussion Mike.
Yes, there we go. Thank you. My proper title.
What have
That's
you
your
been up
sex
to?
name.
In the last fortnight, we had a week where I didn't do anything because we had guests again, because that's just what summers are here. So I've had a week, and I think in that week I have played maybe 30 odd hours of Kingdoms and Castles, and that's
wow.
all I've done. It's my job now, I think.
Do you?
I finished now. I won as much as you can win these sort of games.
Okay. Did you remember that Vikings can swim this time?
Yes, I did good. My whole island, both my islands, because the map I was playing on had 2 islands, and you had to set up transport ships between the 2. And one of my main island is just now entirely surrounded by a wall around the entire edge, apart from one docking bit where the Vikings always have to come, and that's where all my archers are.
Created a choke
and
point.
Then the other one, the other island, they're just there to suffer. They can be invaded. That's fine.
Oh.
No, I'm just using an army on them because you can build up a little army as well. So that one doesn't have any walls. So yeah, I've good. I've built on every single possible bit of land on both islands, and I've got all of my resources are on a yearly gain. So I'm slowly ticking up in everything, and my happiness of both islands is on max 100 all the time. And
nice.
When dragons invade, they're killed dramatically far off coast before they get anywhere nearby. And I feel like there's nothing more I can do now. So
yeah, that sounds about right.
It was good. I do recommend the game. You can probably depending. I didn't look at the map size when I started because it was my first game, so I just clicked start on whatever the default settings are. So I think you can presumably get larger maps because I got there's 2 achievements left for getting 3,500 and 5,000 populations, whereas I'm definitely maxed out at 2,500 to 3,000, I think it is.
Okay.
And I could squeeze a few more in if I drop the happiness, some of the various parks and fountains and churches and things that give people happiness. I could get rid of and get more people, but I don't think I'd be able to get up to the 5,000 whatever I did. So presumably there is a bigger map and you can do a bit more, but I'm as far as I'm concerned, I've completed the game. But it was very much fun. I think I was saying last time I was only about an hour into it, but it was one of those games where where you play it and then you go off in the evening or whatever and go and do something else. You find yourself just thinking about the game.
Yeah.
And not about anything, because it's not even particularly hard strategy wise. It's just similar with Banished Snipe. You build another few houses to get your population more, and then with that you need to build a bit more food and a bit more entertainment stuff and a bit more of everything, and you kind of just have to build everything up sort of in parallel with each to itself. So you don't end up with too much resources or too few or whatever. It's kind of just that. So there's not really tactics as such. I was just sort of in my head. I could see the map and see the squares and things. I was this is some games. I don't know if you've ever had that, but some games do that, and they just get stuck in your head and they float around in your head and you can't stop it.
Tetris effect.
Yeah.
To misuse the effect a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
But I did massively enjoy it, and now I finished. If I started again, I could do it again, so there is more replay value. But equally, if I don't start again, I'm happy that, okay, it's done, I can move on now. So, it was very pleasing. I'll give it a definitely at least a thumbs up, possibly 2 thumbs up. They're still making...
out of what?
Out of my...
4 thumbs ups?
Well, no, I only have 2 hands. So
that's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a weird
apart from
metric.
I don't like using numbers because it seems fairly arbitrary. So I'm just on a vague how much I enjoyed it, whether I thumbs up or thumbs up or thumbs down is liked it or not, and then for ones I particularly like, I can do 2 up or 2 down.
Okay. So if you really like it, you can give it. I think
I've fairly consistently used this scoring since the start of the podcast.
It still baffles and confuses me.
But I don't like using numbers really, because if I say it's less than a 7 or 8 out of 10, I'll get abuse from everyone. So
yeah, I'm
suddenly all the fucking
No, I won't, because the people who listen to this are nice. But
yeah, no, exactly.
I don't like numerical systems for game scoring anyway.
I think I would give numerical scoring systems a raspberry out of 10.
Okay.
But I would definitely recommend, especially because I'm fairly sure it was only about a £5, or when I got it, it was on offer and it was only about a £5. And they're still doing updates to it. Like the most recent update, which I didn't realise was until I was looking at what updates happened, that came out like 2 days before I happened to start playing it. And it had like quite a lot of extra nice things in it. So I was like, oh, that's useful.
Oh, cool.
So, and they're still like Slime Rancher, quite regularly-ish putting out updates for it, which is nice. So yeah, I would recommend if you want a game like that, especially if you use Snipe, if you like Banished still.
No, that sounds interesting. I'll have to have a look at that.
So my last thing I was going to say is on to my next game, which I haven't started yet because I literally finished Kingdoms and Castles yesterday. But so I have downloaded the first of the new batch of Tomb Raiders.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I completed the first one, the big reboot one.
Yeah, the one that's just called Tomb Raider.
That's the one I mean.
Yeah. I like that one. I'd say the last boss is pretty fucking weak, but overall it was a beautiful experience, very pretty game. If you ignore the Ludo narrative dissonance.
Yeah.
That makes me sound smart when I say it.
She just runs around murderizing everyone.
She's like, oh no, I had to take a life. That was well sad, wasn't it? Oh no, I wish I had a Greg's pasty. And then she cries for a bit, and then she just like...
You know, it's remarkable. It's exactly how Lara Croft sounds
I know.
in that video game.
I'm a voice actress, you know.
I mean, she is from Derby, so...
Yeah.
Because that's how people from Derby sound.
Oh...
Yeah, fun fact for people at home. Tomb Raider, the original one was made by... Well, the first handful of them were made by Core. And Core literally come from the town that Matt and I are from, Derby.
Represent.
Which is why there is a road nearby called Lara Croft Way.
Which I keep seeing on, like, fail sites. Like, people keep posting that and going, wow, cringe, how pathetic. It's like, no, that's literally because that put Derby on the map.
Yeah, like...
That's... It's a weak tribute, but that's their tribute to Core.
It's actually funny. Matt McMuscles put out a video yesterday that was about Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness.
Oh, God.
And talked about what happened to Core. And was funny because I got to hear a Canadian try and say Derby.
So it was Derby.
It was Derby, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in their defence, that is how it's spelt.
That's how I pronounced it when I came here, to be fair.
It doesn't make them any less wrong, but that is technically how it's spelled.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't realise Core actually became part of Rebellion for a while.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And they were sort of still going for an alarming amount of time in one form or another.
Yeah, I think they shut down in 2010. So.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
But games by them were still being released in like 2012 or 13 or something. I was looking it up a while ago.
Oh.
It kind of dragged on for a while.
Okay.
But
anyway.
Anywho. So that is one option. The other option is the newest Sniper Elite, so 4, because I got that.
And I
really enjoyed
Sniper
3.
Elite 4.
And I've heard that 4 is basically just better.
It is just better. I mean, Sniper Elite 3 was fine. Sniper Elite 4 it just improves on the thing. I like that game. It's very good.
It probably might be a good thing for you to try Tomb Raider next, because if you play through another Sniper Elite game so soon, the sheen might be kind of gone from it.
That's what I was kind of thinking. Plus, just
to mix things up.
Yeah, mix things up. But my third option, which I've had downloaded since I first tried to play it, and I didn't really get into it then, and then you guys had my Xbox controller for like 10 years or something.
Wow,
so I couldn't really play it. But I've still got Dark Souls installed. And I'm starting to feel like I should give that another chance, because I feel like if I got into it, I would really like it. I struggled to get into it because I just got lost and confused.
I remember when you tried to play it, and I was getting texts from you, getting gradually more annoyed because you'd taken the master key,
and your sequence broke super hard.
Yeah, well, I didn't realise that was like a thing that I probably shouldn't do.
No, taking the master key is great, but it meant that you ended up in like the Valley of Drakes, like near instantly, and it's like, well, that's not really where you need to go, mate.
Yeah, Dark Souls is a bit of a shit for that kind of thing.
I mean, it was the most obvious path, like everything was directing you to go that way, but that's just because of apparent bad level design or something.
I think there's a few bits of the original Dark Souls that I'm not sold on the general flow of. One of those is when you end up at Firelink Shrine, because there's so many ways that you can go that are not right, and a lot of people sit there and say, oh, well, you see the Crestfallen guy, he tells you, oh, one's up, one's down, so that tells you where to go. And you're like, yeah, but every way is up or down.
Yeah.
So
no matter where you're facing, something is up and something is down.
So that's not actually as useful as you think. And I think that because I have seen so many people get to that first part of Dark Souls and either get bogged down by the skeletons like we did when we first played it, or end up, they took the Master Key or whatever and ended up getting into like the Valley of Drakes or whatever, or just went some way that they shouldn't have gone, but the game allows them to. And that sort of stuff is great for when you're playing it a second time.
Yeah.
And you want a sequence break, but I don't know, it's like that.
It has a very shaky start.
I think it could do with that first part, like just leading you by the dick for like 5 minutes.
Just the first time you play it, yeah.
Just for the first time you're playing it, because I've seen so many people get kind of a bit hung up on that part, and it kind of frustrates them about the game, which, like, because
I think that's a fair criticism.
Yeah, because, and this is, stating it as someone who's, put Dark Souls in their top 5 favorite games of all time, But I do think that first part does have some issues. But if you want to give it a shot, Matt, and go for it,
I'm feeling I'm either Tomb Raider or that. We'll see. I'll let you know next time. Or actually, you'll know before, because you'll get abusive texts off me being like, "Why am I doing this again? Where do I go? What's happening?
Where do I go? What do I do? Oh no!
Skeletons can suck my ass."
But yeah, I've done bugger all else. Apart from prep for your potential boss encounter in our D&D campaign.
Oh god.
Yeah, no, I'm clenching so hard. I'm basically
which is
like
potentially shortly coming to an or a temporary end of this campaign.
It's coming to a pause.
Yeah.
Like basically, like there's gonna the season finale is coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to make it memorable, so I've been doing quite a lot of prep and stuff for that.
So one of us is going to die then.
It's going to be me. Because recently it's been me going, I'll disguise as someone and walk in with my dick out. That'll be really good. And then I get immediately stabbed or mauled or burned. Because everyone's like, that's obviously Nathan the Wanker. I'm like, shit,
that is how he is known in the town of Wyport. Nathan the Wanker.
It's not a clever name.
No.
Not a clever name. They're not poets. More on D&D later.
Ooh, I like that.
No. But yeah, so anything else to add there, Matthew?
No, that's me done for this time, I'm afraid. Momo.
Yes.
What have you been up to?
I've not been up to much. Because, as we were saying, the season finale of Jerome Matt's D&D campaign is rapidly approaching at a terrifying velocity, to the point where I honestly am scared of dying. In real life, I'm so worried. I've been prepping, because after that one, Jerome wanted to play a bit of D&D, so I'm going to be DMing my own campaign for everyone. So Jerome Matt can play, and Wib will play, and our friend Ash will play, and I've said Sarah will not be playing because she's doing this whole thing of having a baby.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be DMing, which is totally not terrifying or scary or the biggest scary thing.
You'll do fine.
I know, I'll do fine.
It's going to be interesting because you're going to have the opposite problem to me. Like, for me, I think I know quite a few of the rules and like the technical side of it, like balancing encounters and things. I'm really confident with. Well, not really, but I'm relatively confident with. But then it's the story, like when you do your whole go and talk to people bit, I'm just like, I'm not really. I've never really done the role playing or the story writing side of things.
If it helps, it doesn't show. Like, we like the characters you've made, like Steve Blurms.
Named by you guys, basically.
Well, only because your writing is terrible. Your handwriting is terrible. So you wrote down his name, but it looked like Blurms, so we were like, his name must be Blurms.
Yeah, and you wouldn't let me change it, so like, I think that's...
And then we were like, no, it's Steve Blurms. That's his name.
That's how that happened.
Yep. And his dad, Dave Blurms.
So yes, you've been working on your campaign.
I've been working on my campaign a lot. I kind of went a bit overboard in the way that I created the entire continent map and tried to figure out what relationships each place has with each other, and I stopped short of trade routes because I'm like, this is probably never going to come up, and I'm just burying myself in needless work.
Like, I was sitting there going, like, all you need to do for, like, the initial thing is
starting town.
Is, like, maybe name the town that we start in and have, like, an introductory encounter, and you're pretty
I've
much
got
golden.
those, but now I'm like, no, but what surrounds that? Oh, they don't like this town, or they like this town. They have a trade agreement with this town. And I kind of stopped and I was like, maybe I should just cool it for now.
Yeah. It's like,
and
maybe
fill this in later.
Maybe the reason that you're finding this stressful is because you're trying to create a Bible for this world.
I'm trying to make a functional country.
Like, you are trying, like, I'm half expecting, like, I come to it and like, okay, so I've worked out the political history for the last 500 years.
Okay, you say that, I was genuinely trying to figure that out. And
you don't need to do this.
I've got I have a vague political history of the last few hundred years.
You see, Drummer Matt's more prepared than me.
Yeah, but, like...
It's never come up and no one's asked.
You know what? Next fucking session...
There's a big summer celebration that's been, like, mentioned, like, in passing throughout the whole thing, because that was the party you went to, and no one's asked what it's for.
It's
for independence.
Yeah, okay, fine. You have asked.
Yeah,
I think we can infer what that's from.
Yeah. Because, you know, like, there used to be a load of, like, kings and stuff, like, ruling over the area, and now, like, it's basically, like, they all break up, and it's kind of like a council that rules over it.
Okay. You did ask at some point. Fine.
Yeah, I did. Because I remember we were walking up a wizard's tower, and Talos stopped and was like, do we know much about Wyport? And I was like, no, we should ask. So just on the stairs, we were all sitting there going, wait a minute, just stop for a second. Can anyone remember the history
Can anyone remember the detailed history of the place where we are?
And then Sora, because she's a massive nerd, is like, I have a photographic memory of every book I've ever read.
Because I rolled high on my fucking insight roll or whatever.
I think it was history or something.
Oh yeah, because I always forget histories of things. It doesn't come up very often.
Yeah. But no, so yeah, I think that's like a thing that new DMs can get massively bogged down in because I fucking did.
I think this is a very much a you thing as well.
What do you? Okay, what? That's kind of coming off as accusatory.
No, you have a habit of getting yourself quite stressed by overthinking things like this, and like
What do you mean by that?
You try and do too much that you don't need to do, so you end up getting yourself more stressed out than you need to.
See, I'm just currently overthinking what you just said.
Exactly. Exactly.
But the important thing is I've acknowledged the fact that I'm pushing myself too hard, and the fact that all you need to start a D&D campaign is the town you start in and the starting encounter situation. That's all you need.
You can build on it from there.
Yeah.
Obviously having like a bit of an idea about the world and stuff is cool and all.
Yeah. Also, you need to fill in that questionnaire I sent out.
Yeah, I do, but I might possibly have a million things to do this month.
It's always about you, Wib. It's always about you.
Well, actually, it's about the channel.
Yeah, it's always about you. And your channel.
Which is what allows us both to eat, so...
Yeah, no, okay. You know what? Checks out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I've been doing a lot, and because it's Inktober, I've been doing so much hard work. I haven't done my Inktober drawing for today, but I've done, from the 1st to the 3rd, I've been doing them. And I will continue doing them until October is done, because that's what Inktober is all about. And I haven't actually drawn in forever, because mental illness is the worst.
Yeah.
So it's nice to start, to be drawing again. So I've been doing a lot of that. I've used up approximately 3 paint pots of Abaddon Black in the space of about 4 days, painting scenery.
I was about to say, I was assuming this isn't to do with Inktober.
No, I've been painting my Warhams.
Nice.
And yeah, because all that big scenery we got, I haven't spray painted that, undercoat wise, because that's really tricky and you got to keep turning it over. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to use, because I have 7 pots of Abaddon Black. I've used 3 of them.
Oh, so you're just painting by hand rather than spraying it?
Yep.
Is that not just ridiculously more time consuming?
Yes. Insanely time consuming.
Why?
something to do, I guess.
Well,
it's just kind of like we have because there's no way in hell we are ever going to use those pots of paint.
Because Abaddon Black was one of the colours that came with
like
the
issue
1 of Conquest, which we had 5 issues of.
Yeah. So and like Wib had accidentally bought like an extra Abaddon Black because you always do that with a certain paint. You go, oh, I don't have any of this, and then you go out and buy it and realize that you have a nearly full one at home. So I've been painting like huge chunks of scene. You know what we played on when you were around, dude? Yeah. I've just been painting all that basically. Okay. And I'm gonna start. I'm nearly finished, actually. I think I need to go around with, like, one more coat just to fill up any weaknesses in the coverage, and then I'll get onto dry brushing and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then we'll have scenery.
Actually painted scenery, which will be a novelty for us.
It will be.
Yeah.
I mean, who paints their scenery? Fucking nerds.
Why paint scenery when you can paint miniatures?
Yeah. Why paint scenery or miniatures when you can just buy more miniatures?
And thus, there we've found the reason why you're painting the scenery really slowly.
Yeah, okay.
Because you don't have to then paint your dudes.
To be fair, my Imperial Knight is nearly finished.
Actually, yeah, it's nearly done.
Yeah, so I've been painting her up like super hard. And yeah, I'm struggling with iconography at the moment. I mean, I'm so glad.
You remember that thing I was saying earlier about overthinking?
Quite frankly. I'm just thinking of like iconography because I'm going to use like Grey Hunter markings, and I just can't decide which one I want. Because my ones on my miniatures are kind of like they're kind of simple because fuck painting like fancy stuff 100 times. She says having the Logan Grimnar pre-Wolf like chapter master iconography.
Pre-Great Wolf.
Pre-Great Wolf. I cannot think today. Pre-Great Wolf iconography, which. I kind of sat there, I was like, should I change to, like, Morkai? And I'm like, no.
Because you have to redo...
I have to repaint so many things.
I think there's just a part of your brain that is objectively scared of completing a squad.
I think that's just life in general. I'm scared of finishing things. Thank you for bringing up a serious problem with my mentality.
Because it's like anytime you are nearly done, like anytime you actually nearly have something finished, you find a new way to have something more to do to it. Which I think is the real reason, I believe, why you haven't got your wolves finished.
Nah. Probably not. Who knows, honestly? No man can say.
Except me, who has literally just said.
Who said that? I don't know. It's probably nothing. Game-wise, I've played some... Basically, the only new game I've been playing is the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy.
Oh, yes. So jealous.
Dude, it's great.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh. It's... Oh, and this is so cool. You can play as Coco.
Ooh.
On like just like not on like boss levels because can't be doing that even though she has exactly the same moves and everything as Crash. But yeah, you can like play as her just like through the original Crash Bandicoot or the second one or the third one, and it's oh my god, I live for it, dude. It is so cool.
So it's on PC?
Yeah. You can get it on Steam, and it's just it's the 3 original games, so Crash Bandicoot 2, and then the third one. Obviously. Warped. I think maybe the second one had a subtitle, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it did, but I can't remember what it is.
No, I played that the least, so. But no, and it's just updated graphics. The controls, however, are a bit iffy, like, because, you know, the more precise platforming.
Yeah.
It's, because having played because I own, all the Crash Bandicoots on, the PSN store, so I can play it on my PS3. I also have, the original PlayStation 1 discs of them as well. So, going from that to this, there is quite a difference in controls. The controls are strangely, how would you explain that? Because,
I think the best way of saying it is really just that they are subtly different. And when it's something that is from your childhood, that feels a little off. They're not, wildly off. But it's just every now and again you'll get to a jump or something that there's some part of muscle memory you've got that you won't quite do it right.
Because it's just slightly different, which can be really fucking annoying.
It's very, very similar, but it's just subtly different. I think to say anything more than it is subtly different is over-exaggerating. the issue
feels
is.
pretty severe.
But it's just because it's something that's so ingrained in your childhood, you know?
Yeah, no, and then
it feels worse than it actually is.
But yeah, no, otherwise it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful recreation. Like, the music is almost all the same from what I got to. There's like a couple of things that are a little bit different. But it's just basically Crash, but fancier. So
nice.
it's really nice. It's really cool. Yeah, can recommend if you were interested in picking that up, dude.
I'm still surprised that it's on the PC.
Yeah, because who made it? Naughty Dog. I'm just intrigued as to how much it was involved with Sony, because that means that there's a chance that the Spider-Man game might come out for PC.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, no, developer-wise, it has absolutely nothing to do.
Okay.
With Naughty Dog, it's Vicarious Visions, Toys for Bob, and Iron Galaxy were the three who were to do with it.
Sony did publish it and Activision, so...
Yeah, so that's presumably why it was allowed, because Naughty Dog, I'm pretty sure, have like an exclusive thing with Sony. But presumably, because the rights are now held by Activision in some way, that's why it's allowed to come out on other things.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't wait, because I remember, I think it might have actually been on a podcast a while back of that you saying, oh yeah, you can get it for PC. And I was like...
you going, wait, what? Why don't we own it? And I'm like, oh.
Because I just assumed it wouldn't be on PC, because why would Crash Bandicoot be on PC?
Yeah. But no, thank you, Seamus, for gifting that to us.
Yes, thanks. Because it's great.
It's beautiful, it sounds good, and it's just such a huge nostalgia wave. It's nuts. And I love how you can play as Coco. I always wanted to play as Coco. Like, because you see her in, like, the second one.
You could play as her riding a tiger on...
in the
somewhere.
third one?
I can't remember.
Yeah, you could play as her in the third one, I think. I think maybe... I don't know. I don't know if you could play as her in like, a select couple of missions in the second one, either.
I don't remember, honestly.
Again, I've played that the least, I don't know. I know that you could, in the third one, you played, like, 3 or 4 missions as her, and that was it. And I was always like, this is great, why can't I? Oh. Because I always thought she was super cool. You know, in her dungarees and her laptop, and I was like, yeah, girl, fucking love you. So yeah, I just wish you could just fight the bosses as her. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it's a little weird that you can't.
Yeah, but yeah, no, very good. And that's pretty much me done. Like, Wiblet, just a little bit. What have you been up to?
I've been up to a couple of things. And I'm just ignoring that.
Wiblet, just a little bit.
Anyway. So, first off, so the last couple of podcasts I've mentioned that I've been playing The Surge. And I ended up inadvertently picking a good time to start playing it because the last DLC for it came out like 2 days ago.
I love the premise of this DLC, and I love the name even more.
I presume they're not free DLC.
No, it is paid. It's $8.99, I think.
Okay.
Considering how much time you've spent playing it, I'd say that's fair.
Oh yeah, like I've put a shit ton of time into the game. I really enjoy it, so it's it's all fine.
You are the one ambassador of the Surge.
I am, yes. But the new DLC, The Good, the Bad, and the Augmented, has come out.
I'm the Augmented.
Where the general premise is there is a guy who is a fan of like this Western show that I actually forget the name of, like the universe name for it. And due to the kind of fuck-ups in the factory, he's sort of recreated the world of it, and you're kind of fighting through it.
So, Firefly fan gone crazy.
It does mean that, like... So, there's one thing that does slightly annoy me about it, and I'll just front-load it with this. So there are some of the minor issues, but, like, one thing is that there is a triggered joke in it, which is like it's just tedious and diminishes people who have actual, like PTSD and things like that. So let's not use triggered jokes ever. It's bad.
Oh, they're so fucking garbage.
But it's not so bad in the context because the guy who says it is an idiot on the internet who has an overblown sense of his own importance and opinions. So,
Well, at least that bit's realistic then.
Yeah. So, in context, he is the kind of shithead who would say that. So, it checks out, I guess. I still wish they hadn't have done it. But that aside, the general thing is, rather than it being like a new area to explore like the last DLC, it's a series of episodes, and there's 10 episodes in total. And they're made of like modular sections that you run through. There is only about 6 of these sections, so it's just different combinations of them, and with different enemies and different things in them. But you go through those, and then at the end there's a boss fight, and there's various changes there. Like sometimes there will be stampedes of people during that boss fight, or sometimes there'll be multiple duplicates of the boss that aren't proper enemies, but they will lunge at you if you get close to them, things like that. But the thing that makes it interesting is that to unlock all of the extra stuff in the DLC, you have to do these episodes with mutators equipped, and you can pick which mutators you have, and which ones you have give different rewards, or make it harder to do. Some of these mutators are fairly basic, like you don't have your health health drink thing, injection.
Estus.
Yeah, Estus. You don't have your Estus. But every time you hit an enemy, then you'll get health, and every time the enemy hits you, they'll get health. So there's like things like that, all the way up to slightly more unusual ones, like all the enemies are invisible except for their weapons.
Right.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Or like there's one where you're just fighting using your fists. You don't have a weapon, and every time you punch, it does like an old movie, like comedy punch sound.
God.
Like it would have been in an old western.
What was it like? You hit someone in the legs, and it just comes up with like a.
Oh no, that's something different.
Okay, because I just saying I remember seeing that, and that was the funniest.
Yeah, no.
thing.
The thing you're thinking of is there's a silent movie mode.
Yeah.
Where everything is black and white, slightly sped up, which is a nice attention to detail, and there's no sound apart from a little piano jingle. And whenever you do the takedowns on people, it actually goes to an intertitle where it will say like.
Was it you hit someone in the legs and it was like, get a load of those games?
Yeah.
Awesome. Best game mode. Why can't all games have that mode?
Every game should have that mode.
It's just interesting. And obviously, you can like multiply these up. There's a ton of them, and you get different upgrades, different things. There's like cowboy hats you can unlock.
No, I'm aware.
Skull masks and all sorts.
I am aware. You can get a wolf head.
You can get a wolf head.
Yep.
There's actually a few different wolf heads. Mm-hmm. So I finished up all. I've still got a few of the achievements to find how to get, because it's only just come out, and the ones that are a little more vague about how you unlock them, I haven't got yet. But in general, I've kind of unlocked pretty much everything and done the main storyline of it, and it took me about like 2 hours and a bit, which doesn't seem like that much time for like spending £9 on something. But by the same token, I was also doing this with a character I'd saved at endgame to do the DLC with, because I didn't know what the DLC was going to be like.
Yeah.
So I did kind of have a character mercilessly overpowered for most of it. But yeah, if you're like me and you enjoyed the Surge and you want more Surge, then it kind of does the job for you. Only downside is there's no proper new bosses. The bosses that you fight at the end of each episode are just regular guys that are just more powerful. So
that sounds pretty anticlimactic.
The only big boss thing in it is that you fight the first boss again in one of the episodes, which does mean you can get the achievement for beating a boss with its own weapon that normally you have to wait till New Game Plus to get. But you can get that, because that's how I got it, because I was like, I wonder if that'd work. And I used the Pax weapon to take down Pax, and it's like, oh, okay. Nice. That does actually work. Cool.
Please tell me it's called Time Paradox.
No, I can't remember what it's called. Honestly, but it's not called that.
Oh.
But yeah, so it's possibly a little short, and there isn't that much to it, but with the mutators and stuff, there's a fair amount you can experiment with and play with, and it would take you longer to get through if you weren't playing it with like a level 95 character. because it is designed for you to be able to access pretty early in the game, and as you're going through the game, you do the episodes like as you were going, as you get more powerful, is I think how they intend it to happen. But
But you just said no and blitzed it with your like super high level character.
No, because I'd have to beat the entire game again in order to do it how they intended
I'm not admonishing you for that. I'm just saying that's quite a big kind of caveat.
Yeah. So I think it's one of those DLCs that you probably appreciate more if you were playing it from a new game perspective and playing through with the other stuff.
That is quite an interesting intent for them, because I would bet that more people who get this DLC will be people who've already beaten the game, rather than people going, oh, there's new DLC, I should buy this whole game and play through the whole game just to play the DLC.
Well, it's a bit like how the previous DLC, Walk in the Park, even that was not like end game content. Once you've beaten the first boss and you get to the second area, you can get to the DLC and you do the first half of it, and then when you get about 2/3 through the game, you unlock the second half of it.
Okay.
It sounds a bit weird, but
yeah.
I mean, if you say that it flows okay, then I believe you.
I mean, it does mean that you get the DLC, and it's not just a big chunk you do somewhere. It's something that you can space out throughout your playthrough of the game.
Yeah.
So it just kind of expands on the whole game content rather than giving you a bit tacked on at the end.
Yeah. So I'm not saying like it's perfect or anything, but I think
it's an interesting way of doing it, honestly.
Yeah. Also, it means that you get an outfit instead of your overalls that's like good old Western gear that you can obviously take into the rest of the game, and some of the weapons that you get are pretty great, like in terms of how powerful they are. So I look forward to cheesing out the final boss that I've been putting off fighting with my endgame character.
With the cowboy.
With the cowboy. So that could be fun. Unfortunately, there isn't like an end credits. There isn't like an end cutscene where you're wearing your gear, because then I could completely undermine it. A bit like, playing like Dead Rising and you dress like a right twat during like a really heartfelt scene. But also in video game news, I also have been playing Dead Cells.
Dead Cells is cool.
Not to be confused with the Papa Roach song of the same name.
Or the anti-terrorist organization from Metal Gear Solid 2.
Well, they're both called, actually both of those are called Dead Cell rather than Dead Cells, I guess. But anyway,
but if you combine them both together, the anti-terrorist organisation and the Papa Roach song, then it would be Dead Cells.
Didn't you know that Papa Roach are an anti-terrorist organisation?
Anywho, what is this game?
It's a roguelike that's sort of built in the kind of Metroidvania kind of vein.
Yeah. And
yeah, it's pretty good.
Are you laughing at Metroidvania vein?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I thought you might be.
But yeah, it's quite a fun little game. Its combat is very satisfying. It's possibly the first time I have played a game where you use a bow and arrow in like a kind of side-scrolling action kind of thing. You use a bow and arrow, and it's really satisfying.
It looks like the screen shakes, and it really does give you a really good feel of impact.
It's got a real. Yeah, it's got a really good sense of impact.
Sound design's good. That really helps out as well.
You got like a lightning whip you can pick up like early on in the game.
And there's what was it? The Flesh Terror? Oh, that's not the Flesh Terror. That's fucking.
Oh yeah, there's
the Flesh Render, which is like this thing you throw out that just mutilates everything.
Yeah, you can drop down turrets and things.
It's really cool. And there's like the cool so what base kind of premise of the game, if you don't mind me explaining.
Oh sure.
Is you go through and you collect cells, and then you get to because it's kind of randomized every time, but then you go to this one area called the Promenade of the Damned or something.
I think that's actually the name of the area you're going to. But in between areas, there's shops.
Transitional kind of shop thing. So you go in and then you spend your cells. And it's kind of like, it's meant for you to keep dying and going back. So you'll get, say you've got 7 cells, and you go in and you go to the upgrade guy, and it's like, well, do you want to upgrade your health flask? And it's like, this takes 25 cells. So you put all of your cells into it. And then you say you die, you go back, you take more cells in, and you have to basically keep putting stuff into it.
It's basically a much more elaborate version of the little donation machine at the back of Binding of Isaac shops that gradually adds more to the game by putting more into it.
Yeah.
For example...
The gems in Crypt of the Necrodancer, where you can basically buy things that will appear so that they can appear in your runs.
And there's the first one you get is like a permanent upgrade to give you a health potion. The one I've just unlocked, because I've been playing it, I was playing it a little bit, I would say last night, but this morning's a more accurate term. I put a bunch of stuff into so that my starting bow is randomized from the pool of them. So now I can pick up more powerful bows from the intro.
Nice.
And the way it shows this stuff of what you unlocked is really cool. In the first room that you start off in, there's all of these like glass bottles hanging from the ceiling.
It's so pretty.
And when you unlock something like a new upgrade, it appears in one of those, so you get a really good demonstration of how much you've unlocked.
It's really
really
cool.
nice.
And the sprite art is gorgeous as well.
It's just pretty good. I'm not very good at it, but it's a roguelike. You know, you're never very good at them when you start them.
No one's good at roguelikes apart from the people who are crazy, scary people.
Also, interestingly, the devs behind it are non-hierarchical. They are organised horizontally, and it's just a group of people who all get paid the same. There's no boss.
Oh, cool.
I think that's fucking rad.
Which
and
is-
they come out with something as awesome as Dead Cells. It's
Yeah.
like, yep, that's awesome.
They've actually been around for a while. I think they've done a bunch of mobile games before this.
Okay,
I
well
think
that's
this-
probably why I've not heard of any of their games
Yeah,
before.
I think this is like their first big
Yeah.
big game, and yeah, it's good.
That's good. It is.
Yeah, Dead Cells is great.
Thank you, Longfang.
Oh yeah, that looks really pretty.
Yeah, no, it is cool.
I can recommend it. Although it obviously like any roguelike, there's always the caveat of it's quite difficult. So if it's funny, like I find those games sometimes, even if you can really enjoy them, sometimes you recommend them to someone and they're like, I played like 2 rounds of it and I got frustrated with dying over and over again. And you're like, well, yeah, that's the genre. You can't really do anything about that.
Also, I watched Longfang stream it, and the Twitch integration is pretty good.
Oh yeah, we'll have to do something with that.
Yeah, we'll have to stream it because the Twitch integration is it's fun.
I absolutely adore Twitch integration in games.
It's so good.
Not enough games have it. I just remember how much fun I had playing fucking Vermintide 2.
Oh yeah, like playing that, and then like it's like, hey, do you want to like summon a fucking like?
A health potion or a rat ogre?
And everyone's like rat ogre, and it's like fuck you, Chip. It's just like it's so fun going through it and having chat actively fuck with you the whole time. Or as a protest, they'll just give one of the bots like one of the like augment potions, and it's like, wow, guys, fuck you. It's a lot of fun. It's great.
Last thing I have to mention is I have finished watching Star Trek Enterprise.
I was about to say nice, but I'm not sure I mean that.
You know,
I think you mean congrats.
honestly,
Yeah, well done.
it actually ended on a quite positive note. I felt weirdly emotional about it, honestly, because I realised that I'd finished something that I'd started a few years back, which is to watch or rewatch every episode of Star Trek from every series. Like, I haven't watched them in order or anything. I watched each series in order, but I didn't watch each. You know, so I watched like TNG first, and then DS9, then Voyager, then went back to TOS Animated, and then watched Discovery, and then watched Enterprise.
Yeah.
And Enterprise was kind of spaced out between a handful of things as well.
But you still you did it.
But I've got through every single episode of the show, and it was like, wow, okay, I've done that. That's kind of a thing that I was doing, and that's kind of over now. And it's like, oh. It reminded me how much Star Trek actually means to me, because like the final episode, and spoilers for the final episode of Enterprise, but the final episode of Enterprise is not really anything to do with the wider plot of Enterprise. From what I understand, Enterprise got cancelled whilst they were wanting to do more things with it, so they sort of made an episode that sort of neatly ties things off without like tying into other things.
Yeah.
And so it's just the last episode is Riker watching on the holodeck the last mission of Enterprise. Now, I had heard from people that this episode insinuates that
all a dream kind of thing?
the whole series was just a holodeck simulation. The people that think that have not watched the series, because that's just not true. And the people that insinuated that to me are wrong. You need to stop being wrong. It's bad.
Sorry,
No,
sir.
it is just him so you've got Jonathan Frakes like interspersed into it, and little cuts back to the Enterprise D, which makes me very happy. So like they use the incidental music, and they've got a new CGI model for the Enterprise.
That's a nice
to match with the rest of the show. And you see him talking to Troy, and you hear Data like over the comm system and things. Like, they haven't got the whole cast back, obviously, but the very end of it, because it's basically, like I say, it's covering the last mission that the original Enterprise went on. And at the very end, you hear, it shows the Enterprise D, and the first bit, like the first third of the Space, the Final Frontier monologue, comes on with Patrick Stewart. Then the middle third of it is Kirk, and it cuts to the I got to say original Enterprise, but the NCC 1701 Enterprise.
Oh, that one. Thank you for clarifying.
The first Kirk one, the one from TOS. It cuts to that and Kirk relaying the middle third of the thing, and then the last third is the NX-01 Enterprise with Archer doing the last part of it. And it's like, you know what, that was like, it's a silly little thing, but that was like a nice cap off to that series, because Enterprise started off as hot dog shit. Like, the first 2 seasons of it are really rough, and there's some episodes that are just, what is it, like 2 days and 2 nights or something, I think it's called, or something like that. And it's, I know a lot of people think that A Night in Sickbay is the worst episode. I disagree. I think that one is, I'm sure it's 2 days, 2 nights, or 4 days and 4 nights, something.
X days, X nights.
Nothing happens in it. It is so tedious, so boring. It's just a bunch of twats go on holiday. Nothing happens.
Yeah, I'm guessing they don't even go to, like, the fuck planet either.
Yeah, they do go to Risa, but...
But they don't, they go to the fuck planet and somehow it's boring? What the fuck?
They all manage to not... Well, okay, Hoshi manages to bone down.
Well, thank you, Hoshi, for trying to make that episode interesting.
But yeah, no, those first 2 seasons are really rough. And I mean, to be fair, that's kind of true of every Star Trek series. Like, the first season is always rough, at least. But then season 3 is legitimately pretty good. And season 4 isn't quite up to season 3's standard, because they sort of are a little unfocused. I think they were trying to grasp onto something to do. But what they do is have a lot more running storylines. So they'll have episode, like a little mini story arc in it that will last like 2 or 3 episodes, and there's multiple of them throughout the season. And they're all kind of tailored towards them starting to lay the groundworks to build the Federation. So, working with the Andorians and the Tellarites and things like that.
I like Jeffrey Combs as the big angry Andorian. That's really cool.
Yeah, he continues to be a delight. It's not perfect, and first 2 seasons are rough as hell, but seasons 3 and 4 at Enterprise I actually did enjoy, and I'm glad that I went back and watched them. I'm glad that I suffered through those first couple of seasons that were bad to get to the seasons that were good, because it did get good. Not up to, DS9 standards or anything, but certainly... I mean, it's definitely better than quite a lot of Voyager. Like, Voyager was... I mean, at least for Enterprise's all its faults, it didn't have, what was it called? Fucking the little Irish town on the holodeck that constitutes some of the worst episodes of Star Trek ever. Those were awful. But yeah, so... I'm done with Star Trek now. Do you want to know how I celebrated being done with Star Trek?
You started rewatching the original series again?
I started watching a bunch of TNG episodes. Instantly after seeing the episode with Riker in it, I was like, I'm going to go back and watch Best of Both Worlds. I guess that's the thing. Now I've watched absolutely everything. I can now go back and just watch episodes here and there, like go pick out the ones I really like. So it's a bit like how, the first couple of seasons of TNG were a bit rough. But I can pick and choose from those. So, I can just go and watch Measure of a Man, which is a fantastic episode.
Is that the one with Data?
That's the one with Data and Picard basically establishing that he is alive. I think that's early season 2, and it's genuinely great. But yeah, it exists in a season that overall isn't that great. And I mean, I tend to, I like season 1 a lot better than I think a lot of people do. But yeah, it's a bit rough at times, which is why I just went to watch Best of Both Worlds, which is great. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I was actually recommended by Geistertans that I check into. There's a German like 60s sci-fi show. There's a bunch on YouTube, and I'm like,
genuinely sounds so far up your alley.
Yeah, that sounds ridiculous. I want to watch an old
Old
sci-fi from a
the
country
60s.
that I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with their media. That sounds like something great. So I'm gonna be watching that. I'm actually genuinely really trying to. I want to go into it with the idea of maybe making a review video for my side channel, like I did with a couple of episodes of other things. Because I thought that'd be really interesting to do a series that's basically unknown outside of its native country.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I thought that'd be interesting. But yeah, so that's all sort of me done. I killed some mechanical cowboys, I roguelited a bit, and I got emotional over Star Trek.
And that's cool.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
cool. So I guess that leads us into that other thing, what we sometimes do are talking about.
D&D Dynamite.
When last we left our heroes.
When last we left our heroes, we had gone and killed an angel for some creepy ass fucking collector called Amdir to take a sword to him.
The sword that was enchanted with some kind of ability to subjugate people.
Yeah, so we were like, shit. So we went and we got it demagikified, and then we were like, we should probably go see him and hopefully not die.
Should we do? Because I always feel like I feel like we should do this. Like every X amount of episodes is recover what the group is.
Okay, if you like, yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So our group consists of 4 players. There is myself playing the dwarven barbarian Johnny.
Yes.
Who in the last well, it's not the last session to us, but it's the last time we talked about it, had taken a single level in bard from being a barbarian because it sort of worked out narratively. So yes, he's a barbarian. And there is Snipe's character.
My character, who is Nathaniel Gallenhal, Nathan if you're nasty, who is a self-hating warlock that doesn't like people knowing he's a warlock, who is just a fucking dick.
There is also our friends Ash and Sarah. Ash is playing the elf rogue Talus.
Yep.
And
who makes terrible sandwiches.
Who does make
and
terrible
is very
sandwiches.
cheery and is obsessed with the sea.
Yeah. And there is also Sora, Sarah, who's playing Sora. That is not confusing, shut up.
Nope.
Who is a dragonborn wizard.
Who is a book-smart nerd who's actually kind of mean.
We've been finding out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found out she's actually like she's been coming out of her shell. She's like, Sora is a lot meaner than we thought she was. She does not put up with garbage, and if you ever do anything bad to a book, she'll just fucking kill you.
Yeah. So, we were going to take this sword that we had disenchanted, like taken the enchantment off it, or the curse off it, however you want to put it. We'd taken it off and we're going to give it to him, and we were a little bit concerned because we didn't know how much, if we'd get in trouble for doing so.
Well, this man is the type of person where if we were to piss him off, he could probably make our lives hell incredibly easily.
He feels like the sort of person that could make you disappear.
Yeah. So we decided to fuck with him anyway because it was for the greater good. We don't want someone like that having a sword of fucking subjugation. Yeah. It's not okay.
So we take the sword to him, and we hand it over. We're all sitting there, arseholes going like a rabbit's nose.
Yeah.
And
he brings in some...
Fucking... Hang on. Don't just gloss over that.
What?
What did you just say?
Arseholes going like a rabbit's nose.
Yeah, twitching.
Okay, good. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Haven't you ever heard that before?
You've not heard that before?
I have not.
Wow.
Yes,
consider yourself educated.
That is a thing. I haven't made that up.
Okay. Good. All right,
I mean,
continue,
I wish I'd
guess.
made it up, but... so we hand the sword over. He kind of has a look at it, looks in his book to looking at it.
Painful fucking silence.
He brings in his, like, magic, like, advisor, I guess, who comes in and, like, has a look at it. And we're all sitting there, like, going, oh, God, what's going to happen?
Act natural. Don't look afraid. Don't look afraid.
And he's like, okay, yeah, that's fine.
He looks at it and goes, like, his eyes, like, kind of, like, glow, and he's kind of quiet for a few seconds as he's obviously trying to determine if it has any magic. Then he goes, He leans over to Amdir and he whispers something in his ear, gives him the sword and leaves, and we're all like, we're dead. We're fucking dead. Oh no.
But everything was fine.
So, as far as we're aware, everything was fine.
As far as we're aware, everything is fine. And he gives us, he says, okay, you've brought me the sword, so I'll give you the information you require.
Yeah, which, for those people who might have forgotten, we are currently trying to find information on a mysterious group of individuals who are referred to as simply the Brotherhood, who seem to be snatching up magical books for unknown reasons.
Yes.
And we're looking into the Brotherhood. So.
And Amdir tells us that we should check out the basement in a place called the Rivermen's Club.
Yes, the Rivermen's Club, which is a very, very fancy place.
An exclusive club.
It's very exclusive, you see.
And we should go and check out the basement because the Brotherhood have been having, as far as he has heard, there are meetings that they are having down in the basement there.
The sub-basement.
In the sub-basement. So we're like, okay. So we wander off. We go speak to the mayor, letting her know the information that we've found out because obviously it's in it's city security of knowing what's going on with these books.
Yep.
Because it's tied into the whole Nakatomi Plaza thing we did at Christmas,
which was amazing.
And a book that was stolen from a library even earlier in the campaign. So
Sora's blood is already up.
Yeah.
Because she's like, don't fuck with books. She is so mad at this point.
I go and they manage to find my fancy clothes in the mayor's place because we realised that so we need to get into this fancy club, so we need to get into our fancy clothes. And I realised that I'd left mine in the basement when Johnny got greased up to fight people. During the Die Hard event.
He was gonna slime into the dumbwaiter.
He wasn't gonna slime into it. He was going to slide into it.
Same thing.
Very different.
Well,
I to me, if you're sliming into it, then you are creating your own slime.
Well, I mean, Johnny is a bit slime.
He's not. He's quite dry.
Maybe his wit. But
no, he's very dry.
Physically, he's quite squelchy.
No, he's very dry. If you find any squelchiness about him, that's something he's had to acquire from elsewhere.
Okay, that does not make it better.
I know it doesn't. But they managed to find his clothes that he'd taken off in the basement.
Yeah, they were like, fucking couple of attendants come in and were like, yeah, we found these
fancy dwarven clothes in the basement. Why?
like next to a massive
tub of grease.
Butt imprint of grease and an empty jar of fucking cooking oil.
So
an empty jar of goose fat.
So we all get changed into our fancy gear.
Yeah, I look amazing, of course.
And we head on over to the Rivermen's Club. We realise we actually forgot to ask directions, so I had to go and ask someone in the street.
Yeah, we get there and we're like, fuck. Okay, we're in the right part of town.
But we don't get there because we don't know where there is.
We get to the fancy part of town and then we're like, shit, actually, where is it? And then Dromat's laughing at us, going, I shouldn't expect you to do this, but you always do.
So I had to go and ask some random passerby who, fortunately, I think it was one of those things where I managed to roll quite high, so they actually talked to me.
Yeah.
Because this is in the upper class district.
Yes.
And we go to the place.
Yep, we find it. This amazing Amazon bouncer standing outside, and I'm like, leave it to me. I'm gonna respect this woman so hard. And I go and I respect this woman really hard, and I'm like, hey, can we come in? And she's like,
well, yeah, of course. I'm just here to stop.
Yeah.
Okay. People kicking off.
And I'm like,
I'm not stopping people coming in.
Still got it.
So we go in.
Still respecting women.
So we go in, and I take point for once.
It was. What a performance!
Well, I go up to the guy who is running this club.
Well, we're led into his office.
Yeah, we led into his office, and who? What's his name?
Conrad Farfoot.
Conrad Farfoot, who wasn't he a halfling?
He's a halfling.
Yeah,
yes.
he's a halfling.
Very, very accommodating, very friendly fellow.
So I go up to him and I introduce myself.
You flourish in a bow.
As Jonathan Spaffworth III.
Jonathan. Yeah, we all had to stop laughing for that one.
Because earlier on in the day, I realised that we were going to be going in and having to pretend to be much more high class than we actually are. And
it's
I thought,
easy for me with my fancy name.
What would Jonathan, if he had to? Well, Johnny, what would he pick as a name if he had to be fancy? Because Johnny's not his real name.
That's not a traditional dwarven name.
It's never come up, like, what his actual name is. But that's not his name.
That's because we respect Johnny and we don't want to, like, pressurize him into just telling...
So he had to come up with... So we wanted to come up with a pseudonym, so that's what he came up with. And I thought about it, like, I think it was, like, while I was, like, washing the dishes or something, like early on in the day, and I was like, oh, wow, I totally have to use that.
It worked.
It's the dumbest. I love it. You know, we are, because we are, you know, quite well off these days.
Perhaps you've heard of us. Killed the dragon.
Yeah.
It's kind of impressive.
Like, we can get into, like, a fancy club if we want to, because...
they know about us.
Yeah, we're dragon killers extraordinaire. We've looted lots of money from people.
Yeah.
And ask, you know, to be shown around, and
he's very, very willing to do so.
So we get shown around a little bit. I start inquiring, you know, being a dwarf, like I feel very safe underground. So I was wondering, because we're thinking of like maybe using this place to perform some of our meetings, you know, our various adventures. We sometimes need, you know, to have a little bit of a planning exercise or bring people in advisors. So we thought this would be a good place to perform our meetings. And, you know, I do feel more safe underground. So do you have any, like, meeting rooms that happen to be underneath the main property?
To which the woman who's, like, showing us around is immediately like, no.
Like, no?
We have the basement, which we keep food in there. I mean, she was very polite about it, but she was obviously quite taken aback by such a weird-ass request.
Yeah. So...
She was like, well, you know, Mr. Farfoot, he will accommodate members... So if that's something you'd want to look into when you get a permanent membership.
So we end up in it. So like
Tallis and I end up like
you get shown around the basement.
Yeah, because we're like, hey, can we see the basement? And the woman's like, okay.
And to not make it look awkward,
yes.
Yeah, to try and make it not look awkward, myself and Sora like stayed up top, like. Making ourselves kind of known and trying to chat to people.
Eating weird cheeses.
Eating small.
Oh, I ate potpourri.
Oh yes, Nathan did eat potpourri.
I was kind of, this is like me like being a bit meta and role playing maybe a bit stupidly, but I was eating like lightly salted tortilla chips at the time, so I was just crunching away. And I was like, ooh, this little bowl here is really nice. It's got like a bunch of dried elven bark or some shit. And Johnny's like, Nathan, that's fucking potpourri. And I'm like, oh, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not very tasty. It's like I'm eating perfume.
So the only notable thing that sort of happens is you and Tallis manage to completely miss the secret entrance.
We were just out of ideas, and we were just like, fuck, that's like, there's got to be a secret entrance, right? And we just can't find the fucking thing.
Because it was in a barrel.
Yep.
You were so close, because Tallis was looking over these barrels, and she said she gave them a push and found out that two of them were like seemingly too heavy to push, because like, it must be full or something maybe, and one of them was emptier and lighter and therefore could push a bit, and all she had to do is say, I'm having a close look at the barrels or anything, and she could have like tapped on it and found out that one of the heavy ones was actually empty. But all she said, I'm just going to push them and then I'm going to go look at something else, and all she had to say was any kind of looking at them or investigating or anything, she probably would have found it, but she just walked over them, gave them a shove and went, alright, that seems legit, and then walked off.
And I was too busy looking at all the expensive beer and like wine. I was like,
well, as you were looking over like the whole basement trying to find things. And
I was literally going from door to door, like wall to wall tapping. I was like, nah. Nope, and then I just stopped at the fucking
yeah, that's the thing. Well,
booze.
Tallis wasn't doing anything. You were tapping on everything apart from the barrels. So I was like, come on.
I thought she had it. Evidently she didn't. She was just literally just like she did the equivalent of kick a car's tire and go, yeah, that's a good vehicle.
Past its MOT.
That's past its MOT. And then when she said that she hadn't found anything, I took her word. I was like, well, no, she hasn't found anything. That's fine. Shit. Guess I'll go eat some more potpourri.
So, fortunately, as you were basically giving up, Matthew threw you a bone.
Yes.
And
which he might as well have just stood there ringing a bell going, down here, dumb shit.
And basically, you hear a noise over by the barrels, you idiots.
Yeah, really.
To be fair, like, I had you roll perception checks as you were leaving, and Tallis this time did actually roll alarmingly high.
She was like,
so
wait a minute.
It wasn't a complete gimme. It was like a last chance of pulling something off before you had to go and get some more information. And in the interest of trying to vaguely finish this thing while we've got all four of you players available.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? We could spend the next,
episode.
I was gonna say next evening, like
session.
Session. That's the word I'm looking for. You guys going off and talking to someone and eventually finding out something, but that's not. That's
in the interest of expedience.
Yeah.
So yeah, Talus has this thing where she can telepathically communicate to people within a certain range. I have to be able to have like visual contact. I need them in my line of sight. She doesn't. So she was like, "Guys, I found it. It was all me. Found it. It's down here. Come down to the basement."
Yeah, we head down to the basement, Sora and I, and we open up the barrel and see there's basically a ladder down. If you look down the barrel, so it's like, all right then, I guess this is what we're doing.
So I disguise as one of the hostesses, because I think if there's someone down there, they're going to recognize one of the hostesses.
Because he's a mask of many faces or something like that.
Yeah, so I can just like basically...
Which you are massively enjoying at the moment.
I am using that so much, to my great enjoyment and my detriment.
A free disguise self-casting, basically.
Yeah. And
so you can just disguise as anyone all the time.
Yeah.
And you've still never disguised as a sexy lady goblin.
No. That was one joke, and y'all won't ever let me fucking live it down.
Yep.
Hold on to that thought, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So I go down first, and I'm like, I take one of the fancy bottles of wine to kind of be like, because everybody, if you walk in somewhere with a fancy bottle of wine being like on the house, nobody will be upset to see you. Fucking nobody. So it's like, I was like, that's my reasoning. And I'm like, okay, so I'll go down and like you guys come behind me. So I think you guys are on the ladder, because it's like a ladder down, and then there's like a little hallway into like a little kind of pre-room where there's another room.
Yeah.
And there's... I walk down, and I'm like, Talus is behind me. And this guy immediately, like, snags me as I come out of the hall, and I'm like, shit. And he's like, oh, what's wrong? Everything all right? And I'm like, because I can't disguise my voice. That's something I immediately realized with this disguise, like, kind of spell, is the fact that I can't disguise my voice. So Nathan, being the incredibly, very, very intelligent man that he is, pretends to have a sore throat and is like, I'm just a free bottle of wine. Everything's fine.
I imagine you sounding like any of the old women from Monty Python.
Yeah, basically you sounded like the Green Eggs and Spam lady. I've just got a bad throat. And this guy...
My, what a beautiful voice you have there, lady.
Thank you. But yeah, and this guy, weirdly enough, immediately feels there's something wrong. I don't know how. It was perfect on my part.
I mean, it wasn't... I don't think it was so much you. It's then that he looked behind you and noticed there was a heavily armed elf.
No, he walked up to me, because he couldn't see behind me from where he was standing in front of this closed door. So he walks up to me and he's like, you okay? And I'm like, and like he comes up and because he sees Talus behind me and he's like, oh shit. So he turns tail and bolts for the door. The door was open.
Yeah.
So I used the Matagy to just slam it, which I should have, in hindsight, slammed it on him as he went in. But I just slammed the door because I was like, ugh!
But that meant combat was on.
Combat was on, and you and Sora were still on the stairs, and me...
We weren't on the stairs, we were on a ladder, which is even worse.
Yeah. And me, the super squishy warlock, was up front with his dick hanging in the wind.
And what made this more interesting was that as people start barreling out of the room where
we realised there's like 6 of them.
Where they'd been gambling, it would seem, just playing cards, they barrel out, and one of them turns into a werewolf.
Yeah.
Or I guess was always a werewolf, but goes into their wolf form.
He turns into his werewolf form.
Which was an issue.
That was... And he's pretty trained on me.
Yeah.
He bolts for me. He's not happy.
And
and he basically reduces me to 6 hit points within 1 attack.
Yeah.
And he bites me, which I'm still kind of low-key freaking out about. That's just the same as Nathan.
I mean,
he's freaking out about it way worse.
You passed the roll that Matt asked you to roll when you got bitten, so it's probably fine.
Still, So, like, well, no.
God damn it! I wish Nathan had been turned into a
Everyone
werewolf.
keeps saying that they wish Nathan was a werewolf, and that is really weird because he absolutely doesn't.
I know. That's what makes it
He
great.
really doesn't want to be a werewolf.
He's werewolf versions of Worgen.
Okay, so like after the fight, Talus kept like leaning on Nathan, being like, "You could bite me if you want." Like she did that like twice. She was like, "I'm just gonna like kind of lean over to Nathan and be like, if you want to bite me, that's fine." It's like, no, Talus, it's not fucking fine. I'm not a werewolf. Shut up.
So the funny thing is, like, one of the guys sees his mate turn into a werewolf, then shrugs, and himself turns into a werewolf, and we're like, oh god, how many of these are werewolves?
Yeah, so we start like, oh no.
I guess that the only two real notable things from that combat was that, once again, Tasha's hideous laughter... there's three things, actually. Yes, Tasha's hideous laughter was once again used on something that wasn't human.
Talus is a fucking maverick with that shit. She just keeps making non-human things laugh, and it's terrifying.
So we got to hear a werewolf laugh, so that was horrifying.
Oof, yeah, that was pretty scary.
And then whilst it was prone on the ground, what did you do to it?
Well, because, like, if you don't know, rules-wise, if a creature is prone, you basically, if you want to long-range attack it, you roll with disadvantage. So... But melee attacks are fine.
You roll with advantage on melee attacks, don't you?
I don't think so. Well, do you? Yeah. Yeah. So, like, I was like, right, with my 6 HP, I take my dagger out from its sheath, and I stand over it, I grab it by the snout, and I stab it in the throat. And I manage to kill it. And I'm
you fucking executed
I fucking
a werewolf.
execute this werewolf that had bitten 10 pints of fuck out of me.
The other thing that was notable about that fight is that it was the first time that I used my...
Your fancy new maul.
My maul.
That we bought you.
And
then hopefully this one won't make you want to kill us.
Hopefully. And...
That was...
I was almost a little tiny bit tempted to make it also a berserker one.
Oh my god!
Because it would... I don't know, there's something just... I don't know quite... Yeah, I don't know if it'd be funny or just beyond, but...
I think it would be so painfully not funny.
I know, but that would make... I think it'd be one of those things that would just so far not funny, it kind of becomes funny again.
No! Don't do that!
But that's not happened yet. So.
But would you like to know the first 6 to hit rolls that I made?
Yeah, because you popped your frenzy, so you popped your berserk, your fury, angry boner.
I get 2 attacks anyway.
You still got angry.
So my first 6 attacks, what I rolled for my to hits was 2 2s, a 1, a 3, a 4, and a 10.
And only 2 of those, which is the 4 and the 10, hit.
Fortunately, because they had shit armor class, like, rolling a 4 was actually a hit.
Yeah.
But like...
Because of all your bonuses.
I'm wading into combat and just like...
I'm gonna do this!
Oh. Like, one time I just ended up using, like, a minor bard healing spell on Nathan because I had nothing better to do with my time.
You turn around and it's like Johnny was gonna point at me and say, get that one, and then he accidentally healed me for, like, 4 HP. And it was 3 HP, and I'm like, well, my nose has stopped bleeding. That's cool.
But yeah, so we gradually whittle down the enemies. I do actually manage to start hitting people in the end.
Yeah.
We whittle them down. The last one who's left, Talus shouts at, and he's basically like, drop your fucking weapon unless you want, you've seen what's happened to your friends, just stop. And the guy's like,
Okay,
shit.
And then we're all like, shit, we didn't expect that to work.
Yeah. Did you expect us to do that, Matt?
I always, in every fight, expect you to try and talk your way out of it. Okay, I'll rephrase that. I always, in every fight, expect Nathan to try and talk his way out of it.
Feeling kind of unfairly targeted right about now.
So we end up with this guy who we then tie up and start interrogating.
Which I was really scary. I was really good at being scary.
We do it to...
Talus was good at being scary.
To varying amounts of success. Like, I think we started off relatively strong, and then just the rolls didn't back it up, like, towards the latter end. So just everything was failing towards the end, and it's like, I think we've found out all we're really gonna get.
Talus checks his like boots and finds like a thing that he doesn't look very happy about us finding.
Oh, that wasn't it. There was nothing in his boots.
Oh,
it was just in his inside pocket.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. I just remember her checking his boots and being like, "Dude, that's so gross."
Yeah, she did do that.
Yeah, Talus, I love her, but she's fucking weird. And he was like, oh no, it's like, oh yes, an invoice with a dress on it, I see. And then, like, the guy's like, look, I don't have anything else to say. And then Sora, being the massive book nerd who's furious, decides, fuck this. And she storms up to him and is like, tell me where the fucking books are. And she uses her staff to basically try and smash his fucking toes in.
Yeah, he's now barefoot toes.
And we're all like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, so she's, like, properly gonna smash his feet into, like, fucking powder. And he violently moves his foot so hard, he smashes his face, because he's, like, tied to a chair. Like, he throws his momentum off and smashes his face into the cobblestone, like, floor.
It's like the whole chair goes over.
And at this point, his spirit is well and truly crushed, because he's just like, I don't care. Just leave me alone. I'm gonna be dead anyway. And he's just so fucking broken, we're like, oh, this is awkward now.
So we end up...
So we decide that what's going to happen is we're going to take him to the watch, because we could just kill the guy, but it doesn't feel right. And if we leave him be, he's probably going to go and dob on us, and then we're going to get killed, and he's going to get killed. So we decide the best place for this guy is to basically go and lock him up at the watch, like at the guardhouse. And we're like, okay, so we planned that Talus and I was going to carry the guy, and Sora and Johnny were going to go back up and be like, oh yes, thank you very much, our companions have already left, thank you, bye.
Because, there was a door in the basement to outside.
Yeah.
So...
we were going to sneak out the back.
Yeah, Talus and Nathan were going to slip out the back.
Yeah, so we get up there, and, like, Talus and I, she manages to pick the door, we go, we close it too, and we make our way into the alleyway where it comes out. And we're just kind of walking... And you guys go up through the kitchen.
We go up into the kitchen and everyone is gone.
There's no one.
We go a little bit further forward and... a bit further forward into the main room and everyone's gone. And we're like, oh. And we fucking...
Nope.
So we run back down into the basement and out the back door and
catch
like,
up with us.
And
I'm
catch up with you guys.
carrying this fully grown man, so it's taking a while.
Because we're like, so okay, we're terrified by what potentially has happened up there.
Yeah.
We feel we may be to blame for something.
We don't know what this thing might be, but still. So we take him back to the watch, avoiding the front entrance as hard as we can.
Which we get a bit of wind of that, there was a big kerfuffle down by the Rivermen's Club.
We get into
the watch. Is all out there.
Two people, and we're like, "Where's everyone else?" Because there's usually, there's not usually bustling, but there's a few people in there, and they're like, "Oh, haven't you? Oh, there's a big commotion going off at the Rivermen's Club," and we're like, "I'm literally carrying one of the guys." I'm like, "Really? Ooh.
Can you just lock this guy up for a bit?
Could you lock this guy up for no reason?" And they're like, "You know what? I'm going to take this on good faith because you killed a fucking dragon and the mayor seems to like you, so yeah, sure, okay." So don't make a habit of it, basically.
So where we leave off is that we are basically preparing to go and look at this address that we got from the guy we interrogated.
Yeah.
To try and see what we can discover about these books that are going missing. Because one thing we did find out from him is that basically a list of the types of magic that they are looking for books of, and it's for, someone else. They don't really know what they get.
Some high up that they're selling on them to, and
they're basically acquiring them for them, trying to either get them legitimately through buying them or stealing them if they can't.
Yeah.
So so we found out a little bit more, and we've got an address to follow up on. So that's what we
went back to the Knave Scroll, good old Blooms, and got smashed because we thought we'd just lay low for the rest of the evening.
Yeah,
the afternoon, the evening, and the next morning.
Yeah, afternoon, evening.
Yeah, we went back at like 1 p.m. and just basically drank until we all fell asleep.
Come on, we'd caused a kerfuffle that got the watch involved. We're like, we should lay low for a little bit.
Yeah.
But so that's where we leave off.
Yeah, that's where we live. So, that's where we're leaving off.
Yeah. Hopefully the next time we, I guess we've probably only got like one or two more of these recounting things in this podcast
campaign.
Before this campaign comes to an end. So, or at least this, not the full campaign, I guess, but this story arc.
Before this story arc comes to a close,
and we move on to a different set of characters.
Yeah.
So So, moving on from that, we have a bunch of questions
Yes.
from you lovely listeners.
Drama Matt, recite them with your mouth.
Would you like to recite the questions to us? But first, Snipe, I would like you to tell the people at home what the email address people should send their questions to.
Okay, it's onlydrummermatt@snipeandwib@gmail.com.
Yes. Matthew, what is that email address again?
Why every time? onlydrummermatt@snipeandwib@gmail.com.
Sorry, could you repeat that? I was laughing.
So what are the questions?
Okay, yes, we have a few. Bloodwolf Koji
Good name.
says, given Snipe's motherly affection for Space Wolves, and that you guys have mentioned that you're fans of Gene Stealer cult faction in the past, will you guys be getting the Tooth and Claw box set?
Probably not. No.
Yes.
We're not, no.
Okay, we're not.
The stuff in it's not particularly... There's what, like... honestly, I like Gene Stealer cults, but there's...
Yeah.
We can't really afford to start an entirely new army.
No, this is fair. Yeah, I mean...
And the Space Wolf stuff's not super interesting. There's
no.
one character and an upgrade sprue that's in there. That's about it.
Yeah, it just feels a bit... But no, I mean, I'll probably just get the character off eBay or something.
At some point, yeah.
I think I'll just get him off eBay.
So I was looking into these things, because they seem to be doing quite a few of these box sets with, like, two factions.
Yeah.
Is it like the old starter boxes, but just you get a choice of different factions to start with?
Pretty much.
Or is that the point? I was just trying to work out, like, where these things fit in terms of, like, you know...
I don't think they come with a full-size rulebook. That's the only thing. But in effect, they are similar to that. They are they're sort of like a good way to kind of
They're
start
a good entry
off.
set.
Yeah, but they're only worth getting if you want to collect, or you know people who want to collect both armies, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, they are a lot cheaper than buying the things individually because they're not...
Yeah, I'm sure.
They are the proper kits for them that are in them, so... they're not like the monopose type ones you get in Dark Imperium or whatever.
Oh,
They are
okay.
the proper intercessor kits and things like that. So yeah, they're good value, but yeah, just we don't need the models. So
Yeah,
we won't be.
I'm working my way through fucking scenery for Christ's sake. So.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay, next up, Shanus. A new waifu for rating.
Ooh,
Okay.
I'm listening.
Who, let's be honest, deserves at least an 11 out of 10.
Okay.
Sexy Lady Goblin Nathan. I told you we'd come back to it.
12 out of fucking 10.
Oh, fuck off. Okay.
I am personally going to go with a hesitant 8 out of 10 until we actually see it happen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
So you just put pressure on me.
I thought you were going to go for a perfect score of 5 out of 7.
No, it'll get a double thumbs up.
Damn.
I won't say where, but a double thumbs up. Once it actually happens, I'm assuming. But
Do
until
I
we
get
see
to
it,
rate? Seeing as it's
Yeah, of course,
my
of
character.
course.
Yeah, you can vote.
I'm gonna give it a 69 out of 10.
hey.
Nice.
Next question.
Okay.
That was a great question, by the
So
way.
we've got a would you rather each from
nice.
Shanus as well.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Wib, would you rather Manila appear in every Godzilla film, or that Jet Jaguar is replaced by Danny DeVito?
Okay. This is I will say not a good comparison of things because so Manila is garbage and is garbage in every movie. Godzilla Jr. is good. Manila is
Maybe that's
garbage.
what
They're
Shane
two
has meant.
separate entities. Don't get them mixed up, or you will pay the price.
Sorry, Shanus is being a fucking weirdo.
But why would I not want Danny DeVito to be a replacement for Jet Jaguar? Why would I not want Danny DeVito in anything?
Can you imagine that with like a really thick New York accent? Like, it's
Gotta
me.
beat Megalon.
Gotta meet Megalon.
What? Okay, he's just fucking... He's our terrible impersonation of Willem Dafoe, apparently. I can't do Danny DeVito.
That's Danny DeVito as Jet Jaguar.
So yeah, I would totally go for Danny
Jet
DeVito
Jaguar
as Jet...
now wants Spider-Man or something.
Yeah. So I want Willem Dafoe as Danny DeVito as Jet Jaguar.
Yes.
Or is it Danny DeVito as Willem Dafoe as Jet Jaguar? I'm not sure which way
Yeah,
around
it
it
would
is.
have to be that way because it has to actually be Danny DeVito. So it would have to be Danny DeVito acting as
Willem Dafoe,
and
being Jet
he'd just be as he's doing the kaiju thing. He wouldn't be in like Jet Jaguar's suit. He'd be naked, save for a pair of underpants and a pair of boots,
like a pair of like gum boots, like Wellingtons.
Like Wellingtons, and he'd be painted, like body painted as Jet Jaguar,
but not very well. Like you can
really
tell he's
badly.
painted it himself, and
he's done it himself.
Yeah, his back is like completely clear,
and you can see all the bits that are missing where sweat's dripping down him.
Yeah, because he's basically just using like watercolor paint.
Yeah,
he's like he went
poster paint.
Poster paint. That's what he's doing, and it's not very good poster paint either. Because he was going to use it to color all of his slime. Because he makes a lot of slime for his Instagram account, Danny DeVito, the Slime Man, which is an actual account.
You need to fucking watch Always Sunny.
Do I? Am I a writer for Always Sunny?
If you want to see
knew
Danny DeVito naked and slimy, Always Sunny is a good series for you.
Why haven't I watched this before?
Or emerging from a couch naked is also a thing.
Good. Okay. Snipe.
Yes.
Would you rather play Iron Man 40k with all of your Space Wolves?
Oh, fuck.
Or have Blood remade by David Cage?
Now that's a good one.
That's evil! Oh no, because then it'd be like, Caleb has emotions now. He's a dead cultist man.
I can't wait till the shower scene with Gabriella.
Oh god. I mean, to be fair. Whew.
Yeah, but it wouldn't. There'd be something uncomfortable about
creepy.
it.
Yeah. Oh no.
I know what I'd go for. I'd go for the remake by Cage because the original one isn't going anywhere.
He can't retroactively change it, but
okay. I'm going to insert that as a clause in the thing. Having this as having Blood, it's not a remake as such. It's just that old one doesn't exist anymore, and if you want to play it, you just have to play the new remake.
Yeah, the David Cage version.
That's hot. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, because you can't just have him make it remake and then just ignore it because that's not consequential. So yeah. If it is remade, all copies and all traces of the original one is now...
All the original copies get too humaned and have to be recalled and destroyed.
Jesus.
Yes, but you're still aware that it existed, so you're still aware that it could have been good, and the old one was good.
Am I the only one who's aware that it
No, everyone's still there. It's just no one can play it anymore.
Shit. Which one would you go for?
Fuck.
Got to pick. We're on the clock here.
Okay, I'll pick the remake. Because I've spent hundreds of hours and hundreds of pounds on my army.
And you still at least can remember the good times.
And I can remember the good times.
Yeah.
And everyone else can as well.
Which is possibly worse than not knowing about it to start with.
But oh my god, Seamus, you evil fuck. You genius.
It turns out the question for me isn't a would you, although it's just a question. Okay. But Mr. Delicious, which I quite like.
Yeah.
Everyone, please, like, if you're gonna send some emails to Jerome, just refer to him as Mr. Delicious. That's what I want. Because I think it makes him happy too. So.
There's what has been your best thing to DM, and has there been a NPC or a monster that you particularly enjoy playing as?
That's a really good question.
It is a good question. Yeah. It's a tricky one at the moment because you guys have just got up to level 6. So in terms of like monsters that have particularly interesting mechanics, rather than most of the guys you fought have basically had they can hit you or they can maybe hit you twice. So actually, there's not been too much of the monsters that are particularly stand out. There was the Umber Hulk could have been interesting, but you saved on your 1 or 2 rolls against it and then murderized it before it could do anything interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of monsters, they start to get really interesting and they can start doing weird extra things when they used to get a bit more powerful, really. What has been quite good fun is reacting as laughter from all of the Tasha's hideous laughter spells. Which Ash now, despite being a rogue and definitely the most damage he could possibly do being through his sneak attack and physical attacks, just casts his spells now, which is great. I mean, I kind of get the feeling that he might have wanted to play a magic caster more than a rogue almost.
Maybe, yeah.
But it's working, so I mean, that's fine.
That's the thing. If it works, it works.
Yeah, and that's how he wants to play, which is cool. But it means that basically everything now I have to have like a laugh prepared for them. So I've had to do displace a beast laughs and
werewolf laughing.
Werewolf laughs.
All sorts.
Yep, all sorts of things. So that's been quite good fun. And just role playing with you guys, because you guys, as we've mentioned many times, so much more into the role playing side of it than any other groups I've played with.
Yeah, we kind of super roleplay all the time.
So that's been that's been a lot of fun. But no specific monster or NPC yet. But who knows?
Makes me worry.
What about the ice dragon or the white dragon?
Oh yeah, the ice dragon was pretty cool.
Just because like Talus pissed him off so hard.
Yeah, okay,
like,
the ice dragon was pretty good fun. Yeah.
He's watching us all panic.
I was like, Talus, for fuck's sake!
Yeah, because the ice dragon actually had like legendary actions, so it can do things out of its turn, which you start getting once you get to the more powerful things, just to make it up for the fact that there's usually only one of them. They have actions that they can do not on their turn, just to balance out the action economy a bit better. So they start getting fun. And yeah, the dragon could do some of those. Actually, yeah, okay, the dragon was good fun. The dragon, yeah, that was so fun. I kind of forgot about it.
That's how fun it was.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, Atticus. Dear Percussion Mark.
It's gonna get so warped to the point where they just start calling you like I don't know,
Perspiring Martin.
Or I was gonna think of something like Ice Cream John. Or something.
Yeah, I'm fine with all of those. So, I know you don't usually do this sort of thing on the podcast, but I find myself in a desperate situation and need to fall back on you folks for advice. I was chatting with a friend of mine the other day, and they started talking about how great Detroit Become Human is, and how they're a huge fan of every Quantic Dream game. We're good friends, but I just don't know if I can continue to associate with a devotee of David Cage. What do you think?
The cult of Cage is a tricky one to
There's
deal
really
with.
only one answer.
Cut off their hands and set them on fire.
Yeah, that's the only way.
I said, I will ask, but be warned, the answer will be brutal. So thank you for validating me.
Oh, piss off.
I mean, ultimately,
Some people like being wrong about everything, and I'm afraid that your friend seems to have just decided to be wrong about everything.
all appreciation of art is subjective.
No, they're in brackets at the end of the email. Just say, joke, by the way, I really don't care if my friends like some different things.
Oh,
to
no,
me.
seriously.
Yeah,
no.
Just before they come across as a dick.
Yeah, no, obviously, yeah. That's the thing. It's like, if they find enjoyment out of it, then that's great. It's not like they're literally, removing everyone else's favourite games and replacing them with David Cage remakes.
Okay, next up, Lawrence. My brother and I have been meaning to get into D&D for quite a while now, but we're having trouble assembling players, so I wanted to ask some advice on the following things. So first up, how do you guys deal with players who have quite a busy life IRL?
You just don't play very often.
Yeah. Honestly, there's no magic trick.
You make the most of it when you can.
Yeah.
And you accept that, when you get a session, sometimes it might only be an hour or two.
Yeah. It can be kind of... Because, you do want to play quite a bit, but, realistically, you can't.
You just got to accept everyone's got their own lives.
Yeah, everyone's got their own lives, and that's just the way it goes. So you got to try and squeeze it in whenever you can, even if it's just for an hour, like Drummer Matt says.
And just make the most of it when you can,
Yeah.
Second, do you guys use any kind of special program or website specifically made for RPGs to communicate, or do we just use something like Skype?
Roll20.
Well, we use Skype, and then we play on Roll20.
Yeah, so related to this as well, before we go into too much detail, Preston, the next person to emailed in, said, wondering if you use any digital tools to manage and share game information. So that's the kind of a related question.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we talk over Skype.
We tried Discord a couple of times, but Discord just goes really fucky. If you have a few people, it's like
It's a very
us problem.
Skype's quality is shite, but
it's consistent.
It's consistently shite, whereas we have problems with Discord dropping out, which makes role-playing impossible.
Yeah, my internet connection here is not great, and Discord cannot deal with a bad internet connection. Rather than just going to lower quality, it just seems to cut out.
Yeah.
Which is really annoying if I'm halfway through like a big explanation of something, and then I'm like, oh no, you didn't catch that. Oh, you kind of caught half of it. Shall I repeat the whole thing? And it just messes up the flow.
Yeah. But yeah, so we use that to talk, and we use Roll20, and apart from that, we'll, occasionally...
We roll dice in real life because it's just more fun.
Yeah. And when something like secret communication has happened between Matt and one of us...
He'll just text us.
He'll just text us, or send us a WhatsApp message or something. Yeah. So that's sort of the array of tools that we use, digital stuff.
I've seen a lot of DMs use, texting.
Mm.
Between people.
I mean, you can do that in real life as well, It's just a way of surreptitiously talking to people. But yeah.
Yes, text can be used as a communicative tool.
Yes. They can.
They can. Yeah.
Next question. This is back to Lawrence again. Mm-hmm. What would be a good way to set up the first session? So how I did it with you guys was, because none of you had played 5e before, my first session was getting everyone to... We all went through character creation together. So we all went through, okay, right, these are the races. Because I don't know if you all had a bit of an idea of what you wanted, but we basically went, these are the races, these are the vague, benefits and downsides of things of each race. You can all pick that, right, next classes, and sort of went through it all, and then went into backgrounds and rolling abilities roles, and sort of went through it like logically through the handbook. But we did it all together. Yeah,
which was really helpful because if one of us had a question, then because we were all like there, and like some of us might understand a certain thing a bit better, some people might not. So it was a really good kind of session, like very very good introduction, just all hands on.
Yeah.
We're all
and it meant we ended up getting a bit of a fight at the end, but it was literally just a very very quick one. So I don't think you need to worry too much about actually getting into playing.
Yeah, we got into a pre-organized fight. We didn't start arguing. That sounded we all started arguing at the end. No, we didn't.
Okay, no, yeah.
We had a combat encounter.
We went and fought some bandits.
There's a couple of dudes in a cave which I managed to like charisma my way out of. This was
in my head. I always think the first things we fought were orcs because we actually used some of my 40k orcs on the grid.
Oh dang!
Because we don't have any actual D&D models, so.
Yeah, we occasionally have the occasional in-person session, so we have to improvise pretty hard.
Yeah.
But no.
In-person sessions are so much harder than Roll20. Because you have to like print out maps and things, or get big bits of paper to draw your maps on. It's just a bit of a nightmare. Okay, no, I think that's everything you need. Basically, just have if you don't need to go through character creation data, I recommend doing, if you're rolling for abilities, which I do recommend because it's just more fun, I think.
It is a lot more fun.
To me, it just means you get characters with more interesting things, like you get...
Yeah.
But, I mean, it means that your characters aren't exactly all balanced into each other, so if you're playing it because you want to compete with your fellow party members about who's the best, it isn't the best thing to do.
I wouldn't say D&D's maybe the best place
No, for me,
anyway.
that's not what the game's about. You're all together, and if one of you ends up being more powerful because they roll better, that doesn't matter to me.
It makes it way more interesting. It makes it more interesting, like RP-wise. Say you've got a character like.
Yeah, but this is all very subjective.
Yeah. Again, you've got to figure out the kind of game you want to play. Yeah. Like during that first session, you'll be figuring out what people want.
That's the sort of thing you can ask. Yeah, and whether you get, I didn't have to ask, but you just get a feel like in that first fight, I got a feel immediately. Okay, I'm trying to give you just a basic combat thing, just so you get a vague idea of like how you roll to hit and how you roll to do damage and how you do these things. You already tried to talk your way out of it. So I was like, okay, well, you guys are going to be more into the RPing side of it than which I kind of expected. But
it's just
if you don't have a bit of a scrap, like chat to them and you'll get a feel for whether they want to go down that sort of route or whether they're just want to wood around and kill things and get their loot or anywhere in between.
Also, like the initial dialogue, because I watch a lot of Matt Colville, and I can heartily recommend Matt Colville. He does a big YouTube series called like Running the Game, where he walks through how he makes settings and like your first D&D character, your first DM thing, because he's quite a prolific DM, and apparently one of the hard things is the initial dialogue of basically getting characters to speak to each other and hang out, because characters as a rule are very reactionary. So they'll wait until things happen. They'll wait for someone to stumble into an inn and go, shit, go kill these things, and then they'll go, okay, I know what to do now, let's go do that.
Yeah.
So just bear in mind that players are reactionary creatures. But yeah, that's, I guess, the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Okay. And the fourth question actually was any general advice that might be useful for a completely inexperienced group, but I guess we've kind of covered that already.
Yeah, I'd say just play, you'll make mistakes, everyone will.
Oh yeah, if you'll get the rules wrong. Do you want to know what big rule I forgot last time? You were fighting these werewolves. Werewolves are completely immune to damage from not magical weapons or silvered weapons. So when Talis did her really cool dodging around thing, stabbed him in the back, did a load of damage. Yeah, that shouldn't have done any damage at all.
Oh, okay.
To be fair, when I stabbed him with my dagger, that shouldn't have killed him either.
No. But I realised this afterwards, and I didn't want to go back and make what you did less cool. So I was like, you know what? I got it wrong at the time. It was still fun at the time, so fuck it. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
They were just, for some reason, less powerful werewolves that were affected by normal weapons. That was fine. That's just how it was. Some werewolves, if you meet them in the future, they might not act like that, and I might remember.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's just how these two werewolves happen to be. It's not a rule that's wrong. It's just what happens in this world.
I mean, maybe they were weak because they hadn't seen the moon in a while. You just don't know.
Yeah,
it's
so
that's a good piece of advice I'd say. Is just don't get too hung up on. And if you forget something, that's fine.
Just roll with it.
Just roll with it. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
You will forget things, and your players will forget things. You might let a character do a move that they shouldn't be able to do, or whatever. But it doesn't matter. Just keep going and don't worry and just have fun.
Yeah, that's the best tip. Just enjoy it. It's great.
Yep, D&D is amazing. Just enjoy.
All right, moving on to their next part. They have a couple more questions of would you rather questions.
Oh, okay.
Which are good. So, would you rather... Okay, there's a question, but I guess all three of us can answer it if we want.
Okay.
Would you rather gain telepathic abilities, so telekinesis, hovering, mind reading, anything like that, but be hunted down by a competent and well-funded shadowy organisation that wants to do the typical kind of evil experiments on you?
Bold to assume that that's not a thing already.
Or would you rather be part of said shadowy organisation, hunting down telepaths, gathering all manner of fancy gadgets and a good salary, but your work is quite dangerous and morally questionable at best?
I'll be the person with the abilities, because I don't think I'd be able to morally stand hunting down innocent people.
Yeah, no.
And that way I could just make them catch fire, because I'd be I'd just tell their body that their molecules should vibrate really hard and then basically microwave them.
Yeah, I'd have to go for the first one as well.
Yeah, I couldn't in good conscience be part of a shadowy organisation that does that. I mean, unless they had dental. Okay, all joking aside, no. Not even if they had dental.
Yeah, I'd like to say morally I would choose the first, but I don't know whether I could deal with being on the run constantly. So I think I'd probably choose the second, but then just immediately quit and be like, oh, you know what?
No. I'm gonna. Okay, you fucked me up earlier. No, if you join, you have to fucking stay.
Because if you quit, then if it's a shadowy organisation, they're going to be chasing you down if you quit, and you won't have the psychic powers to deal with it either.
That's true. Yeah, very true.
So pick one.
Okay, I mean, it has to be the first one then.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the end of questions. We just had one last quick thing from Lawrence. Says if we could do a shout out for his brother Axel, who's presumably the brother they're getting into D&D with.
Okay. Hey Axel, get into D&D. Play good.
Yeah, hello Axel.
Hello Axel.
This is a shout out. Axel.
It doesn't have to be anything grand, just something nice. And the only thing I could think of was well, the only other Axel I know is really lovely. I mean, he is a dog, but
oh my god, is his brother a dog?
Where we recorded, remember Axel the dog?
Oh yeah.
He was so old he couldn't get off the sofa, and he kind of slid/fell off the sofa, and he was amazing. So yeah, if this Axel is anything like that Axel, double thumbs up.
Yeah, double thumbs up from me. That's a 69 out of 10 from me.
And that is it for questions.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I am very pleased by the would you rather questions.
Those were a lot of fun.
They were a lot of fun.
And evil, but it's now meant that in my brain I can now see a badly painted Danny DeVito as Jet Jaguar, so I'm okay with this.
And then the meme about the sexy lady goblin Nathan will never die.
It will never die.
Despite it never technically happening.
Yeah.
It never happened, but
one day you'll do it just to please the rest
one
of the
day
party.
I'll do it and everyone will be super disappointed because they built it up so hard.
It won't be in a combat situation or anything, it will just be down the pub.
Yeah, it'll just be we'll be in our room drinking and I'll be like, Hey, Talos, you want to see a sexy lady goblin?
But with Nathan's voice, yeah.
Yeah, with Nathan's voice. So, a proper fucking, Londoner being like, oi, check this out. And then he just turns into a sexy lady goblin and is like, And then turns back again.
They just look at her and, Johnny just looks over and goes, that's pretty good.
And he's like, blimey. Ooh, I'm going to have to sit on my little dwarven hands. Ooh. And I'll be like, shit, I'm going to go to my room. I'm done. I'll transform into a sexy, long dwarf woman.
A sexy, long dwarf.
Because you can't, like, when you use your disguise, the Mask of Many Faces, like, you can vary your height to with a couple of inches. So I couldn't look like a halfling. I'd just be like I'd look like Pika Man.
Oh god.
That's Nathan disguised as Pikachu as Pika Man, basically.
Okay.
So, oh god. Oh,
anyway, reminding people that Pika Man exists, I think, is a fine place to leave this podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Leave it in the bin where it fucking belongs.
What, the podcast or Pika Man?
Both.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much for listening. We're sorry, I'm really sorry I reminded you all of Pika Man. I've been Snipe, he's been Wib, and he's been Drummer Matt. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.